Good evening. Tonight we will be talking about the installation of the Malcolm scope on the Kentucky rifle. So let's go into the intro. I will give you a recap and I will tell you how I installed it since I forgot to record that for you. For those of you who remember, this is my Kentucky rifle with a Malcolm scope. Before I get to the installation, let's run over our safety rules. So first one's first, treat the weapon as if it's loaded. 2, check and confirm it is not. Barrel is empty. And there's nothing on the cap. So the Kentucky rifles became predominantly percussion in 1850. They were invented in actually Lancaster, Pennsylvania by Martin Malin. I'll throw his name up in the notes too. It was invented in the 1700s. It sold service from the 17 to 1900s. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Here we're actually here to talk about the scope. As a recap, it was invented by William Malcolm. Scopes have been around since 1830, but they were extremely expensive and hard to get. So William found a way to make the process cheaper and more available for hunters and just sport shooters. He introduced his scope in 1855. So let me show you how I installed it. So when you first get the Kentucky rifle, it's not going to come with a scope that you have to order separately. That cost me, I believe, $500. So plus the rifle here, which came in a kit form, which was about $400. So this build cost me $900 overall. It's going to come with a dovetail rear and front sight. Now the front sight wasn't hard. Give me a sec, my cat. Hi, Mama. Okay, you can come in. You can come in. Alright, so the front sight here, you're going to take a screwdriver. You're going to take these screws. Let's get them better in the light. Well, you can kind of see them. You're going to pull these as far out as you can get them without completely removing them. And then you're going to take a C-clamp, a bench clamp, or a hand vise. And you're going to squeeze this down and it will just slide right in. And then once you have it slid in, you're going to take a flathead screwdriver, tighten it, and this will cause him to expand. And it will tighten. Are your babies just out of control, Mama? It will cause it to expand and tighten, which will lock this into place. So obviously the more pressure you add, the tighter it will be and the harder it will be to remove. This rear end here, however, as you can tell by some of the shiny parts you can see right now, I had to roughly file it to shape, and then I had to take a wooden dowel and a soft mallet or a rubber mallet and just tap it into place until I was comfortable with where it was sat. And then for your next step, once you have that set in the way you want it, you want to take, and they're called rabbit ears. You're going to set that in place. Then you're going to take your screws, also flatheads. First start with hand tightening just to get them into place, and then do your finish with a screwdriver. Yeah, so when looking up how to install the Malcolm scope to the rifles, I found one video, but it was for the Sharps carbine, which I obviously didn't have, and I guess those become pre-tapped and set to mount a Malcolm scope to it. So this one I had to do on my own, and it was very similar to how I did the Trapper pistol. I'll leave a link to the video in that below. Okay, so now that we have our rabbit ear set, we're going to take the scope itself here, which as you can see I've removed the barrel shroud. We're going to loosen this up. Be careful not to lose the lock nut. And before you set it on, you're going to loosen up these two screws right here, and this will allow you to adjust it, because when I first got it, these two were back here. As you can see, they're farther forward because that's where my dovetail sits. And it's also in a place where if I squeeze the trigger or discharge the firearm, the scope's going to come back and punch me in the eye. So, set this in between the rabbit ears. Take your pin, push it through. Oops. Nope, I won't go through on the other side because of it. There we go. Push that through. Tighten the adjuster. Okay, there we go. Now we have the back part on to our rabbit ears. Now we're going to take our barrel shroud. It comes in 3 lengths. It comes in, not 3, 2 lengths. 3 inches and 5 inches. I have the 5-inch one. We're going to push this through the front sight. And then just tighten that in. Alright, there we go. That's tightened in. Now, as you can see, well, maybe you can't, so I'll just explain it to you. The scope, I have a little more off to the right, and that's because when I was experimenting with it, I found out that when I'd set the cock, let's drop my scope a little bit more. So when I set the cock and I squeeze the trigger, it would slam into the scope and therefore not hitting the nipple, discharging the cap, and, you know, firing the weapon. So I moved it a little more to my left, which would be, no wait. Yeah, no, that'd be my left, your right. And that way it took care of that problem. So now I can pull all the way back with no problem. So yes, you want to take a C-clamp, pinch this closed, use a screwdriver, slide it in, and then use a screwdriver to force it to expand, which will tighten the front sight. And with the back one, you want to just file a little off on both sides, occasionally check your fit, and when it's just snug, get a wooden dowel or something soft, and a soft or rubber mallet, and tap into place. And then as you see, screw in your bunny ears, set your scope in. And also, another thing it didn't show in the video, after the installation, they test fired it. But right here on the left bunny ear is a couple notches measuring from 1 to 2 inches. So this is your elevation. So that's why it's on my left hand side. So I can look through the right with my eye and adjust it with my left hand. But to adjust left to right, in the front there's maybe an inch. And you use this knob here and this knob here to adjust left to right. So I have it slightly more to the left, but I have my scope tilting towards the right to adjust for that. And yeah, that's how I installed the Malcolm scope. So that was a rather brief summary on how I installed it. So let me say it again, slower. The Kentucky rifle comes with dove sights, and if you don't want those and you want to mount your own scope to it, you're going to need a C-clamp, hand vise, or bench press. And you're going to pull your screws out, but not all the way. Pinch it closed, and then it will just slide right in. Take your screwdriver and tighten it, and this will cause the front sight to expand, and it will tighten itself into that dovetail without any problems. However, the back sight, because it's a solid piece, you're going to take a file, you're going to file it, check it for fit, and then when it's nice and snug, get a wooden dowel or a piece of wood and then a soft mallet and tap it the rest of the way in. And then you're going to take your bunny ears, set that on top, screw that in. You're going to adjust your scope mounts as best as you can so it works for you. Because like I said, when I got it, it started way back here. Now I'm way forward here. And this allows me to aim through my scope, which I can adjust the elevation with this knob. And I can adjust the windage with these two knobs. I have a slightly off center to the left to avoid being smacked by the hammer and keeping the weapon from firing. So yeah, that's how I installed the Malcolm scope onto the Kentucky rifle. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it very informative. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button. If you have any suggestions or criticisms, leave a comment. And if you want to stay tuned for my next project, don't forget to click that subscribe icon and ring that bell. So, until our next project, have a beautiful day. One of my viewers, who's also a coworker of mine, asked me if my mead was drinkable. So, here's a glass so you can see that there's no trickery. Here's the mead. Cheers. Oh, so good. It's got a very good honey flavor. It's not overpowering, and it's also not underwhelming either. It's just right. So I don't know what's the alcohol content on this, but like I said, it varies from 3 to 18, and I have no way of knowing for sure. But I guarantee if you drink enough of something that's 3%, it will do the job just right. But seeing how I don't intend to get drunk on my beverages, I just do it to relax, I'm going to have this, go to bed, get ready for work the next day. So, until next time.